Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Bonjour, Osio, Assalamu Alaikum. This is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell down below so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping new content. Leave a comment and interact with me. Thank you. I really do appreciate your viewership. Let's jump into another one. Back at it again. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Let's hit some definitions. All right, I want to start off right here. Ascendants. Persons with whom one is related in the ascending line. One's parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. All right. So converse to descendants, which goes down the descending line. Ascendants are going backwards. All right. Parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, things of that nature. All right. It's an important one. Don't forget about your ancestors. All right. Let's continue. Assault. I wanted to go over this one so you can get a difference between like assault and battery, a difference between assault and a difference in battery. So let's see. An intentional unlawful offer of corporal injury to another by force, or force unlawfully directed toward person of another under such circumstances as create well-founded fear of imminent peril. That's important. Well-founded fear of imminent peril coupled with the apparent present ability to execute attempt if not prevented. All right, so let's say someone intimidating you, someone who has a weapon in their hand or something that could potentially be used as a weapon, and they raise it above their head and they walk toward you a few steps. That could be considered an assault. Like, all right, imagine someone has a baseball bat and clearly it's a sporting good, but if someone decides to use that as a weapon, that can create intimidation or fear of imminent peril, and them taking steps toward you is enough to create a present ability of executing such peril. You know what I'm saying? If you don't prevent it by either fleeing or fighting, like fight or flight. So say a policy enforcer or a police officer puts their hand on their service weapon. Maybe they don't pull it out, but they just put their hand on their service weapon and starts to walk towards you in an aggressive manner, or even yelling at you in an aggressive manner and walking towards you. That can actually be considered an assault because they're holding a weapon and it's creating, in that circumstance, a well-founded fear of imminent peril coupled with the ability to execute said attempt. You get what I'm saying? So if anybody ever felt threatened in any type of way from a so-called police enforcer, policy enforcer, and you felt that your life may have been in danger because they simply wielded a weapon, a service weapon, anything like that, and you felt that you were forced into contract under stress, duress, or coercion, you can also have a case for assault. I made a video the other day about how to reasons to record the police when having encounters with them, and also ways to potentially hold them accountable and suing them for damages. All right, so that's just one I wanted to go over and get a good concept so we can have some kind of protections out here and stand up for our rights. All right, I wanted to go over this one really fast. Taxation. Exactly what does Black's Law say about taxation? The listing and valuation of property for the purpose of apportioning a tax upon it, either according to value alone or in proportions to benefit received. Also determining the share of the tax to be paid by each of many persons. Don't forget, this word person is not always a flesh and blood person. Also speaking on corporations, right? So corporate persons, artificial persons. Let's continue. Or appropriating the entire tax to be levied among the different taxable persons. Once again, taxable persons, establishing the proportion due from each. All right. Hopefully you get the gist of what it's saying here. But I really wanted to drive home that not every person is a taxable person, and person isn't always referring to a natural person. It can also be referring to a artificial person, which are corporations. So hopefully you can see, you can always pause and read the rest of this if you would like, but let's continue. Just like I was speaking on corporations, look, you see how taxation and then corporations are right underneath of it. You see how it connects. All right, let's just read this really fast. Installments of money subscribed for shares of stock called for from the subscribers by the director from time to time as the company requires money are called assessments, or in England, calls. All right. Installments of money, shares and stocks. All right, so that's what it says about corporations. While the terms call and assessments are generally used synonymously, the latter term applies with peculiar aptness to contributions above the par value of stocks or the subscription liability of the stockholders. All right, so let's continue along here. I spoke about damages earlier, so let's see what Black's Law says about damages. Fixing the amount of damages to which the successful party in a suit is entitled after an interlocutory judgment has been taken. Also, the name given to the determination of the sum which a corporation proposing to take lands for a public use must pay in satisfaction of the demand proved or the value taken. All right. So I really want to focus in on this first part. It says fixing the amount of damages to which the successful party in a suit is entitled after a judgment, for the most part. All right. So if you're damaged, if your property is damaged, if your livelihood is damaged in some way, shape, or form, medical bills, time. Most people know about pain and suffering when it comes to personal injury claims, things of that nature. All of those that I just list could be and would be considered as damages, and there are sums of finance that can be attached and affixed to those terms. Lost wages, like I said, pain and suffering, property damage. Yes. And one will be entitled if you were to sue. So if you ever heard of something called a fee schedule, I suggest that you look into that, what a fee schedule is and how to affix damages for any type of loss that one may occur or accrue from dealing with civil or criminal litigations if one is innocent of a alleged allegation or allegation of a crime of some sorts. All right, so look into a fee schedule to learn more about, damages and how to affix, amounts to them. All right, hopefully that wasn't too much of an earful. Last, not least, I want to talk about commercial law. Let's read exactly what Black's Law says about commercial law. The aggregate of available property, stock in trade, cash, etc., belonging to a merchant or mercantile company. All right, the term assets also apply to a bank or broad enough to cover anything which is or may be available to pay creditors. All right. And then underneath it says, but usually understood to refer to tangible properties of a corporation and not to the liability of stockholders contingent upon insolvency. All right. So pretty much like a physical asset, not a future or a intangible asset, like a stockholder, the amount that stockholders, the value of the stocks that stockholders own. All right, so that was just, something slight, but for the main part, the aggregate of available properties in stock or trade in cash, for the most part, for a company or a merchant, a so-called individual. All right, keep moving along here. That wasn't the last one. These are the last ones. So since we went through property, we can talk a little bit more about what is a personal asset. Chattels, money and other personal property belonging to a bankrupt, insolvent, or descendant estate, which go to the assignee or executor. That's of a trust, executor of a trust. Chattels, any kind of any kind of property someone have, monies, other personal properties, like clothing, any kind of personal effects. If somebody has an estate sale, how if somebody passes and there's an estate sale, they're normally selling off someone's belongings, clothing, knickknacks, keepsakes. That would all be considered, chattels, and goes under personal assets. All right, let's see what a real asset would be considered. Lands or real estate in the hands of an heir, chargeable with the payment of a debt of an ancestor. All right, so the main thing would be lands or real estate. Real estate can be commercial property. All right, and or even a home, lands like acres. It can be a home with a few acres on it. All these could be and would be considered real assets, and they could be changeable from the ancestor's estate to the hands of an heir. And those assets could be actually used to pay off any type of debts that any type of debts accrued from the ancestor who passed. All right, if the probate or something wasn't done properly, or if there was just like lingering balances, unpaid property taxes, anything of that nature. But these assets could potentially be sold in order to pay a outstanding debt or balance, something of that nature. All right, so that was all I wanted to hit and touch on today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Black's Law Dictionary. Once again, this is your brother Zach Bay. Peace.